Hello and welcome to another edition of the Manufacturers Showcase here on the DX Engineering YouTube and Facebook channel. And lots going on here today. And we're really excited to have our special guest with us, Bob Allison, WB1GCM from the ARRL lab. Hello, Bob.
Hi, Tim. Good to see you.
Good to see you. And boy, that's some fancy test equipment behind you there.
Oh, it is. We have a rack of stuff that we can roll around the lab to each bench position, but our main bulk of test equipment is located in our screen room about 25 feet away.
I see. Well, that's really good. Bob, how long have you worked at the lab?
13 years now.
Okay.
And before that, during the daytime, while I worked at night in television, I was a tour guide at the ARRL. And I did that for a year and a half, and I really got to know people around this organization, could understand what they did and how they helped people. And I greatly admired the staff that was so helpful. So that was prior to my actual being paid here. Volunteer was great.
Well, and it's in the family too, right? Your wife works at League headquarters.
That's Kathy, KA1RWY. Advanced class operator, and she's worked more DXCC entities than I have. So that voice of hers just really carries.
There you go. Well, talk to us a little bit today, Bob, about how product reviews are done. How do you guys do that? What we see is the finished product in QST. How does that whole process go?
Well, it starts with our members, Tim. Our members, ARRL members, let us know what they'd like to see reviewed in QST magazine. Now, product review is the most read column each month, so we really pay close attention to details. So here's the routine. Our members let us know what they'd like to see reviewed. Mark Wilson, who's our product review editor, K1RO, then takes that input and some other input from the staff and some of the other authors. And then Mark decides what to choose for reviewing in QST. Now, it might be something that's really hot right now. We're all looking for the K4, for example. But the ASU FTDX10 is a good example of a radio that's current right now that we've been working on. Can't tell you any of the numbers. They're pretty good. But so our members let us know what they'd like to see. Mark orders them. The device arrives at the laboratory. I open up the box and inspect everything. Then I bring it into the screen room, and I go through a long list of tests. Now, these tests are just random here and there. They're the exact same tests I perform on every single piece of equipment. Like, let's say HF transceivers. The same test is performed with every different transceiver. And we use the ARRL laboratory procedure manual. That procedure manual is available on our website on the technology pages. And the procedure manual is a step-by-step instruction of how to test equipment in the laboratory. So it tells you step-by-step what to do, what buttons to press basically on the radio itself, what modes, etc. The hookup, all the cables, interconnecting cables are explained, the theory. And so that procedure manual is followed to the letter. And that way we have the ability to directly compare one transceiver to the other because the tests were performed identically. So there's a lot of stuff on that procedure manual. There's a lot of tests, and there's some tests that you don't even see that I perform to look at. But the most important test, though, right off the bat, we check the transmitters because that transmitter has to pass FCC rules for spectral purity. So the first thing that I do right off the bat is to see what kind of harmonics and spurious emission the transmitter has. If it doesn't comply with the FCC rules, away it goes back to the manufacturer. So anyway, once I'm all done testing, I compile all that data, and I then share it with the manufacturer. If I find anything wrong, any issues that is a flag to me, a red flag, I immediately share that with the manufacturer. And that way they have plenty of time to correct the problem. That's one nice thing about QST product review. We're not there to bag the manufacturer. We're there to help them and to look out for certain things. And they appreciate that. So I share the test data with the manufacturer. And once that's done and they're okay with it, then the reviewer gets the device, gets the HF transceiver. Then he or she will take it home to their ham shack and put it through its paces. And then they'll write all about that. And you'll see the text in QST magazine. What product review editor Mark Wilson does, he'll take the text and he'll pare it down. He'll get rid of the dead wood, fact check if he has to, and he'll put it in a placement that's appealing to the eye. And he'll take that text, add the charts that I make, the charts and the data table, all the information that I supply, the lab notes, and he puts it all in the form of a nice article. And of course, our production department really makes it look special and look good for the magazine. Then once that product, that review is completed, it then goes to the manufacturer before it's published. So twice the manufacturer gets to review the test data, then they get to review the text of the review. That's very important, just in case our product review author made any errors or omissions. So it's a chance for the manufacturer to see if we made any mistakes. But there's a lot of eyes in the whole process, and the manufacturer is included, to be fair. Now, they can't argue too much about, the buttons are too small or the lighting wasn't good on this one knob or whatever. That's a subjective viewpoint for the reviewer to write about. But the text is also all the data tables, and that's already been hammered out with the manufacturer. And the best part is, again, we get to help the manufacturer by finding issues. We make the suggestions, and we give them advice. So again, the manufacturer gets that review, and then it goes to the printer, and then you get to see it in QST magazine. That's pretty much the process, Tim.
It is a great process, and the fact that you involve the manufacturer in 2 points is really a testament to the fact that the ARRL lab and the product review process is fair and balanced. Yes. And I think you've got the writer's eyeballs on this. You have your eyeballs from the standpoint of the testing that you did, yep. And then you have Mark Wilson overseeing the process.
Exactly. And I have to add something very, very important. Our procedure manual that I mentioned previously wasn't just didn't come out of thin air. It came to fruition with a lot of work from the lab staff, but also some very important consultants, some technical consultants that we have available to us. One of those very important consultants. Now, I've gotten Rob Sherwood. We work together. We work together for the benefit of amateur radio. And Rob points out things to me. I do to him. We share test data. And it's a wonderful sanity check. We work independently of one another, and we don't really communicate that much unless we're just sharing test data. He'll say, Bob, what did you get for a 2 kilohertz spacing, 2-tone third order IMD figure? And I can share that with him with the same transceiver. We use about the same test methods, but Rob has been a huge help. So not only do you have the ARRL product review program, but you have all the help that goes behind it. And just like everybody else that's part of the ARRL, you have the volunteers. Rob Sherwood is a volunteer for our laboratory. And that's what makes the ARRL great, is because of the number of volunteers that want to help and help make product review better. And they give me all sorts of tips about they found something about this and found something of that. Could you look at that, Bob? And we do look into that. One member wrote to me and said, the shaping of the CW waveform, the rise and fall times are actually faster than what the menu suggests. So we looked into that, and sure enough, they were faster. And so we've been working with a manufacturer who is changing firmware to eliminate quick rise and fall times of CW shaping. And that's going to prevent clicking and popping on the air to those who want to operate close up to that transmitter. So that's a great thing. That's an improvement of amateur radio. And I can say that the tests in this laboratory and its past history has contributed directly to the advancement of amateur radio technology.
If you had to guess, Bob, how many product reviews have you been involved in, either writing or testing, over the 13 years that you've been there?
Well, I'd say that we cover about 30 items every 6 months, so 60 a year times, let's see, 13 years. So probably I've done around 900 to 1,000 different items that's crossed my bench. Now, some don't require a lot of testing, but some of the ones that I have tested, though, Tim, there are some transceivers. I can think of one I can mention because, well, it's published information, so I can say it. There was one, the Apache Labs 7000 DLE, that needed a lot of testing and retesting and retesting and retesting. But guess what? We hammered out all those problems that transceiver had and cleared them up because we shared that information. We worked with the manufacturer. So maybe I've tested 900, but many of those were multiple tests. And firmware has changed. Sometimes the hardware, software, that's changed. And guess what happens? When they make the changes, I have to retest. So it's a busy position.
Well, you know, the audio that comes from that radio, the Anon, the transmitter audio is out of this world. I mean, there's a fellow on East Cars that has one in New Jersey. And when we were back at the office, back before the pandemic, we used to listen a little bit, and the audio was spectacular, Bob.
Yes. Apache Labs in their non-series has something called pure signal. It's like a pre-distortion that helps eliminate those odd order products, those unwanted IMD products while transmitting.
Mm-hmm.
So they've managed to come up with a method of reducing the IMD products, and that's why their signal sounds so clean. Now, mind you, I will have to say that the other manufacturers have been paying attention to the transmit quality. We all have to agree that the receive quality and the dynamic ranges have gone up and up and up, and I can't see how they can get any farther or higher than 110 dB. That's a lot.
Right.
But the transmit quality needed some work, and so things like parameters like transmit IMD are very, very important. Transmit phase noise, the amount of noise away from the carrier, has to be as low as possible. The manufacturers have responded to lower phase noise with improved synthesizers. Mm-hmm. And so the transmitters are getting better and better and better. And quite honestly, all of us that participate in amateur radio, we should be very, very, very pleased and proud of the fact of the quality of the equipment that we have on hand these days. Now, when I started 47 years ago, the DX60, wow, I thought that was really cool. And I could only dream about those new transceivers with sideband and CW on them. And that's all you got, 80 through 10, sideband, CW. Look what you have today. And adding and considering inflation, right? Yeah. Radio is a good value. It's a good hobby to be in. And look at the equipment that we get to use. Fantastic these days.
No, it is fantastic. I want to go back to that transmitter pre-distortion. Do you know of any other radio that has that right now?
No, I don't.
Do you think in the future we're going to see that come from other manufacturers in newer radios?
If they see the advantage of it, and if they can make the adjustments of such pre-distortion as easy as possible for the user of the equipment, then great. I do remember when Apache Labs, for example, started Pure Signal. It was an adjustment that you had to make very carefully in the setup, and then you couldn't adjust your power after that. Now I understand that they've simplified it. As I remember, the 8000 DLA was a little bit simpler, but it's going to depend upon how easily a adapted and how easy it is to use on other transceivers. I think it could be employed. Is there a real need for it? I'll tell you what, there really may not be, but the problem is, well, some operators, they're not watching their ALC when they transmit. If every operator could monitor ALC, it's a meter position on your modern transceiver, but if they could just monitor the ALC and keep within that little window on your meter, then 90% of the problem with distortion products splashing over into adjacent frequencies would be avoided.
Yeah, no, there's some standard operating practices, standards, if you wish, and I'm sure you've maybe, now that you're going to have some more free time, maybe you do some freelancing and writing on that, because tomorrow is your last day at the lab.
Yes, it is. It is.
Congratulations to you, Bob.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you for 13 years of tremendous work at ARRL headquarters. It's just fabulous, the things you've done. And I can't, we talk about the product reviews that you've done, but that doesn't even begin to touch all the amateur radio operators that have called in, all the club meetings that you've done. And, you've answered question after question after question. And that is a tremendous service to our great hobby.
Well, one of my most important jobs is answering our members' questions via email or the telephone. And I handle quite a few of those a day. In fact, I come in at 8 o'clock and I usually don't get into the screen room until 10:30, sometimes 11 o'clock, because of answering members' questions and also other technical questions. It's been a privilege, though, to service our members, because I know they appreciate it. And I've received a lot of compliments and gratitude, which I'm grateful for. And I've had a marvelous opportunity here at the ARRL. It's quite a place to be, and there's a great tradition here of excellence.
And I can imagine when things open up again and they can have tours there, that you're going to get, I've had several tours up there, and every time I've learned something new. And it's just, anybody who wants to understand the value of membership just needs to take a tour or get on the phone with somebody in the lab and ask a question, or read the product reviews, and all the advocacy that goes on with the FCC and other regulatory bodies. It is a bargain. I looked at what it costs to be a member of DARC over in Germany, which is the German equivalent of ARRL. It's almost twice as expensive to be a DARC member. And I've been to DARC headquarters, and it's a very nice place, but there's only a few people there because they don't have a lab. They don't have what the ARRL has. So it's really just a testament to what over the years has been built up, and thankfully you guys have got some really good test equipment there.
Yes, we do, and absolutely, almost $1 million worth. Well, I don't know if it's that much, but it's good stuff, and we have to thank Dr. Ulrich Rhoda, who's been wonderful donating equipment and Rhodian Schwartz equipment. We just got a new waveform generator from him. We use an FSUP26 signal analyzer that we use for measuring transmit phase noise. And we have really some of the best spectrum analyzers, signal generators that can be had. And we're very fortunate because the major manufacturers have donated this equipment, test equipment manufacturers, for us, because they get some good publicity too, but they also want us to do good work. And we can do great work in that screen room, that shielded box that we have. And going back to the value of the ARRL, remember previously I mentioned that I was a tour guide here. I worked second shift in television, and for 1.5 years, I was a tour guide. And that was very important to me. My ulterior motive was to see my wife, who worked here during the day. I always worked evenings at the TV station, right? So I got to be a tour guide, so I could have lunch with her maybe twice a week. It was great. But during that time period, I got to see what everybody did in the building because I had to know what every department did.
Mm-hmm.
And after talking with people and realizing what they did, I realized I was in a very, very special place. Now it sounds cliche, and there's nothing in it for me. I'm leaving. I could say sorts of things, but you know what? I do think this place has great value to amateur radio. The people in here are very, very dedicated. Many of them have a vested interest in this hobby, and you'll see the dedication and hard work that's been put forth through years of hard work to get the ARRL where it is. Is it perfect? No, but there are people here working very, very hard to make it better and better, and it has everything changes. And wow, what a lot of changes. In my time here, I went from analog radios to SDRs. So I got to see the change from analog to SDR here. I had my hands on every single flex radio, for instance. That's really cool.
Yes. No, I don't know how you retire, Bob. I just don't know. What are you going to do? You won't be able to go into that screen room, and you're having the time of your life. But I guess all good things do come to an end, and there's a time to celebrate.
Well, yes, I am going out on the high note. You remember Mary Tyler Moore show or the Dick Van Dyke show? They ended at #1. That's what I feel like I'm going to be doing here. I'll be at my top of my game, but I will be back. I'm leaving on good terms, of course, here. And I am a friend of the ARRL and always will be a friend of the ARRL. So I am looking forward to having the opportunity, when the place opens up again, to be a volunteer here at the ARRL. And I may help out maybe in the screen room, but there's a wonderful historical collection here that needs attention. And for the AM guys, we have a Gates BC1T broadcast transmitter converted to 75 meters, which always wants attention, that says, Bob, please play with me. So maybe I'll go on the air with it tomorrow. We'll see. But I think this is a special place, and I want to make sure that everybody understands that and understands my sincerity. Okay, and it's a lot of people working very hard here.
Well, maybe you can get your old job back so that you can have lunch with your wife.
That's going to be the tough part every day. I'm not going to look forward to seeing her go off to work and all that crazy Hartford traffic every day. But she handles an extreme amount of work and emails. I think she handled 620 emails in a week, something like that, for logbook. So she's on the front line servicing our members and helping people with their logbook setups, etc., certificates, and then she helps with clubs. So she's a great ham. She's extremely supportive. She's in the know, and she's well liked on the air too.
There you go. Well, listen, Bob, we could go on for hours, but I really appreciate you taking your precious time with us this afternoon to talk about yourself, talk about the ARRL, and the great work that everybody up there does at headquarters. But and there's loads of comments in the chat room about congratulating you on your retirement.
Okay.
And so we're going to miss you in that, but I know you won't stay away too far.
Nope, not a chance. I love amateur radio too much, and I've been in it for 47 years. It's still my favorite hobby, and it's so cool to be able to generate and detect electromagnetic waves. Never lose sight of that fact. What we're doing is amazing, just physics-wise. It's so cool, and there's so much you can do with this hobby, and the equipment that we have to use these days, phenomenal. So everybody out there, have fun.
All right, Bob. Well, thanks very much for watching today. I'll be on tomorrow for the weekend special, and you don't want to miss it. I've got the co-leader of the 2023 Bouvet expedition that was just announced. So Paul N6PSE is going to be on with me tomorrow at 4 o'clock Eastern time. That's 20 Zulu. Don't miss that show.
I certainly will, Tim. You bet.
Come load it up.
Good.
Right.
Wow.
73 from Bob up at ARRL and DX Engineering. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Take care, everybody.